Madagascar, and here we've seen a tropical cyclone, and actually it's the second time that this one has hit us. It's called Bingiza, and it's gradually working its way down towards the southeast. More torrential downpours here, but if I play the satellite again, you can see we seem to have another storm here too.
He's taken stolen goods and he's now dumping them onto the world without any sort of consideration for consequences.
From people making the news.
If the North will be saved a lot of trouble, I think it is important that they should come together.
To those it affects.
We do accept that there was very bad mistakes made in our banking area.
Behind the headlines.
Most South Koreans are not interested in reunification.
Is the inside story. At this time on Al Jazeera.
See the world from every angle and every side. Al Jazeera.
Welcome back. The top stories on Al Jazeera. Tens of thousands of Egyptians are gathered in Cairo's Liberation Square as part of a nationwide march of victory. This comes exactly a week after Hosni Mubarak stood down from power. You're watching live pictures there from Liberation Square, which was the epicenter, of course, of the 18 days of anti-government protests that toppled the Mubarak regime. Now, we're hearing from our correspondents on the ground that an unprecedented number of people are on the square this Friday. Friday prayers just ended a few minutes ago, and all sides of the streets are completely packed. We hear from our correspondents. And rallies taking place in Alexandria as well. Now the news. Voting is underway in Uganda for both the parliamentary and presidential elections. 7 candidates are challenging President Yoweri Museveni's bid for a 4th term. Bahrain's top Shia cleric has condemned Thursday's violence as a, quote, massacre by police. Funerals are underway in the capital, Manama, for victims of the assault, and pro-government rallies are also taking place this Friday in Manama. Now, as turmoil spreads in the Middle East, questions are being asked about the United States' response. President Barack Obama has continued to waver his position, depending on U.S. alliances. Al Jazeera's Patty Colhane reports from Washington, D.C.
While tears are still being shed, wounds bandaged, in Washington, D.C., the Obama administration reacts to the violence from Bahrain to Libya and Yemen.
And as with other countries, we're not looking to dictate events, but we are making very clear the values that we hold.
But when it came to protests in Iran, strong condemnation came from President Barack Obama himself this week.
What's been different is the Iranian government's response, which is to shoot people and beat people and arrest people.
Now that shots have been fired in the name of Bahrain's government, a key ally to the U.S. and home to the strategically critical U.S. Navy base, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton seems to be showing some support for the Bahraini government's position.
While all governments have a responsibility to provide citizens with security and stability, we call on restraint.
The Obama administration denies there is any difference in their response. Once secret diplomatic cables posted on WikiLeaks show the U.S. believes it does have leverage in Bahrain. A senior diplomat writing, quote, Bahrain's national security strategy rests squarely on the presence here of NAVCENT 5th Fleet headquarters and Bahrain's close security partnership with the U.S. Unlike its Gulf neighbors, Bahrain does not enjoy the kind of oil revenues that might enable it to buy advanced weaponry on its own. So the U.S. provided aid to buy those weapons, from $3.9 million the year before that was written to $8 million in 2009, then $19 million, and a request for $19.5 this year.
We think our voice matters in this, and that's why we have been very clear in stating our opposition and our disappointment and displeasure with the use of violence.
Saying their words matter. The word for this, disappointment. Patty Colhane, Al Jazeera, Washington.
Police in Afghanistan say 9 people are dead after a bomb blast in the eastern city of Khost. A further 30 people were injured in the attack carried out by a suicide bomber with a carload of explosives. Most of the victims are civilians. The Taliban have claimed responsibility. Taiwan's former First Lady has undergone tests to decide whether she's healthy enough to serve a 17-year prison sentence. Wu Shu-chen has been paralyzed from the waist down since being hit by a truck in 1985. The 57-year-old and her husband, former President Chen Shui-bian, have both been convicted on corruption charges. Chen is currently serving a 19-year prison sentence. Voting is underway in Uganda for presidential and parliamentary elections. Opposition figure Kizza Besigye has warned of protests if the voting results are seen as unfair. But President Yoweri Museveni is confident of a landslide win to extend his 25 years in office.
Why are you so agitated that there must be change? The economy is growing very well. We have brought peace. Education is expanding. So, what are your worries?
Well, AlJazeera's Mohamed Ado is in the Ugandan capital, Kampala.
Nearly 14 million voters are casting their votes across Uganda in thousands of polling stations like this one. They've been given ballot papers like this one with the pictures of the candidates who are contesting for various positions, presidential, parliamentary and civic authorities. There are no proper booths here for marking their votes, and voters are using this wash basin to mark their ballots. Voting took off to a slow start earlier in the morning, but picked up as the day progressed. The delays were caused by the late arrival of voting material in the polling stations. President Yoweri Museveni, who has ruled Uganda for more than 25 years, is facing a stiff challenge from a number of opposition candidates. They say they're contesting against him in big numbers because they want to deny him the needed 51+1% of votes cast for an outright win. They say they will sponsor a single candidate against him in any round of elections.
The death toll from Haiti's cholera epidemic is still rising, and while far from over, figures suggest the outbreak is being contained thanks in large part to an under-recognized team of doctors. Lucia Newman went to meet some of them.
The Artiboni, the only source of water for these villagers who use it to wash, bathe, and even defecate. The same river that is spreading cholera throughout Haiti. Here, where the cholera epidemic continues to cause havoc, we find a team of Cuban community health workers.
You can't drink the water without chlorine. Mix each packet with 10 liters of water.
These are the unsung heroes of Haiti's sanitary catastrophe. The 1,500 Cuban doctors and nurses who alone have treated 40% of the cholera victims in every corner of the country. Thousands of them right here in Mimbale, in the worst-hit region.
This month we're seeing between 15 and 30 cases a day, but no fatalities, thanks in part to our education and prevention work in the community.
Not that the Cuban doctors are new here. They are the backbone of Mimbale's community hospital, built before the earthquake as part of an